Alright, guys, what's up? How's it going, theory and theology? I'm logged into work. I started a few minutes early trying to log in, so I'm gonna take that time off my schedule to record because, I work from 8:30 to 5, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m., and they don't want us going before or after. And I pretty much was working before by logging in early and taking so much time to log in early. And so for that reason, I'm deducting that time out of my 8:30 start. And because I kind of need to, I just mentally need to kind of settle into the morning a little bit more. I got a lot of following up with different offices and things that I need to be doing today. And I'm not 100% sure if what's going on. I just want to talk about my experience, basically. Kind of about like what's going on. Not with me, well, with all of us, I guess. What's going on in the world, And this might be a topic that keeps coming up. I know there's a term called doomsdayers and all these like conspiracy theorists and stuff like that. I like to present ideas, kind of look at different angles that I come across. Angles I come across kind of more easily. Some angles I come across more easily than others. But I want to talk about my experiences lately with not being as connected to the internet. Spending more personal time. Now, this morning is maybe the first morning this week, maybe Monday. I can't remember particularly how Monday morning went, but I feel like I was refreshed Monday morning. But with this internet decrease that I've been doing, today's the first day I remember specifically this week feeling kind of groggy, kind of tired. Woke up multiple times in the night, maybe early morning. And I was also online later last night than usual. So let me describe my activity last night, my internet activity compared to the other days. And then also just in general, it's been a little harder to stay offline because of current events, the Trump shot thing, and then the whatever it was that happened with the security system yesterday that's affecting so many things. CrowdStrike, it affected Microsoft for work for us yesterday, and then I thought nothing of it, but I did think it was interesting that IT was like, it's Microsoft. It's not like some other issue, and that's not common. That usually it's like a whole company like that's like affected, which is why we were having some kind of issues that weren't too impacting on me, but I'll see, because it seems like I've got some friends in other places that are being pretty heavily impacted, and everybody seems online at work right now on my team. I have a meeting at like 10. looks like things are up and running. But I still have to call other offices. And so, because I'll be calling other offices, I don't know how their systems are impacted. Um, but yeah, I've been kind of trying to avoid the news. I usually avoid the news, but like I said, my family's TV kind of defaults back to like CNN news, or it just in general plays news. Like they like to watch the news. My folks watch the news a lot. I'm not into it. It's not really my thing. I don't get any pleasure out of it. Um, it's kind of like one of those things, like rubbernecking on the freeway when you know traffic slowed down because of an accident, and you're kind of like, dang, I wish people would stop, like, you know, stopping and slowing down to look at an accident, especially if it's like on the other side. People stopping and slowing down to like even take pictures or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, once I'm close enough, it's like, well, of course I've been waiting all this time. I'm gonna look. That's kind of how I feel lately. It's just like, okay, well, it keeps showing up. All this stuff just keeps showing up. So of course I'm gonna kind of look a little bit at it. I just don't want to deep dive into it. Now, last weekend I talked about uh, the earlier, like how there was this internet asifa in some of the stricter Jewish cultures. I talked a bit about, how Frida Weissel talks about kosher phones and kosher apps, and there are some other kind of non-Jewish apps or devices or methods, such as, putting the phone black and white, or putting timers on your phone, or putting it in another room, or whatever it is. Uh, so those are some of the other methods that people use. But oh man, like, so you know, last week, last weekend, I did this like deep dive into the Parsha. I don't remember if I finished it on time or if I finished it like Sunday or Saturday night, like after Sabbath had ended. But after Sabbath had ended, I kind of had a little bit of a different approach with the internet, and I thought about it more, and I was like, Sunday I was actually wanting to kind of do some podcasting, be online, work on some music, and then I realized, I was like, I don't really know if that's really what I want to do. But I was also having a pretty stressful weekend. Just some family stuff. Nothing major. Just sometimes there's like an energy in the air with family stuff. I don't know. Like, I've talked about it before, how like sometimes my folks might be online during dinner or lunch or whatever, and I don't hang out with them much. I try to at least have a meal once a week with them, maybe twice a week, but I'm not like really trying to be involved every day and like, let's catch each other up on our day-to-day lives. It's like, that's not really my preference of how to socialize, because I don't really want maybe them that involved in my life. I kind of like my life a little bit at a distance from them, kind of because they're not ultra religious, but for a Christian household they kind of are. But like, if you compare like Christianity to like Islam or Judaism or some other religions where they have some other like really strict groups. Adventists are kind of up there with the strictness. They're not maybe as strict as like Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, some of these other like Amish Mennonites. They're not as strict as those groups, but they're kind of like maybe just under the amount of strictness of like Jehovah's Witnesses or like Mormons. They're kind of like maybe a little bit of a notch down. They have the potential to get to that level, but in LA, that's not really a thing. I've heard people in the Bible Belt do have more of that strictness in their culture with Adventism, but in LA, at least where I'm involved, they're less strict. Like I've gone to churches that barbecue meat. I don't know if they necessarily make pork, but they actually barbecue real meat, and people eat it openly. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with meat. I'm just saying like it's not an Adventist tradition to really have meat, especially at like church functions, and so and that kind of stuff, drums, that kind of thing. Trans people, having being involved in services at some of the spots, like in Hollywood, and a more open-minded, less judgmental community of people. I went to this church once. It wasn't once, but there's a church that I do like, this Adventist, that it's not entertaining, but it's like community wise, and I don't know these people well, but community wise, with the exception of one interaction with one person, it's always been pretty nice. But also, I've always been like an outsider there. You always know how it is with communities and stuff. Once you get kind of in on the ground floor, you're kind of more involved, and once you've been there a while, you kind of see all the ins and outs. It's kind of easy to look at churches and see like a glossed over, like rose-colored view of things early on. But I mean, it's left a good impression on me, just because they're so inclusive of LGBT people. They're inclusive of all kinds of people. And one of the services I went to a while back, maybe a few years back now, maybe pre-pandemic. I want to say it was pre-pandemic because I don't think we had masks on. And we were in the service, and it was kind of like interactive. Like they weren't doing like a regular. I don't think they did like a regular sermon. It was one of those like get in the groups near you and talk about whatever this topic is. Everybody kind of go around, and then there's like a spokesperson from each group that kind of says generally what the group was, kind of the topics that came up in the group. And I can't remember the exact topic, but I specifically remember, my friend was on one side of me. This guy who was a stranger was on the other side of me. And he mentioned something that was pretty vulnerable, but I can't remember exactly the topic or the wording. But he was saying something along the lines of like, either that he wished he could be more open, but isn't because of fear of judgment, or that he wished there wasn't so much judgment, or that maybe he was talking something about, the ego or shyness or something. It was something social, like social community and like openness and vulnerability kind of related. It was something along the lines of like him wanting to be able to be more vulnerable or more open. And I don't know if he was talking about that community or just in general, how there's kind of like that risk of like, you can't always just be open, even in a church community, unfortunately, because there's risk to it. There's like an emotional risk to it. You never know, maybe he wasn't saying all this, but it's just in general, you never know where somebody's going to take what you say, and if they're going to like, hold it to themselves and be polite and, respectful of your privacy, and let you open up to them and be, more, um, you know, you know, open, or if they're gonna like cause some damage. Um, oh shoot, my meeting's at 10:30. It's not at 10. Wow. Okay. So yeah. So experiences like that, like when people kind of say something where you're like, okay, there are people here who kind of think that way, who kind of think like, I want a strong community. I want people I can kind of open up to. I would like it to be through maybe people at church, but maybe I don't feel comfortable with it because of the past or because of what I see happen to other people. I kind of know, like, maybe this isn't like a safe space. Unfortunately, it can become like that. And I'm not trying to rag on churches. Some of them are good. But just to hear somebody say something like that, I remember feeling like there was something about that that just made me feel like it kind of gave me hope. Like, not that I was hopeless, but it kind of gave me like, it boosted like a little bit. Like, it added maybe like 4 or 5 notches to my sense of hope about, from the level of hope I already kind of had. It kind of added to that. Hearing somebody else say something like that. And sorry, my voice is raspy. I'm trying to record on here and talk so that my voice gets a little less raspy. So when I'm making calls, I'm not like all raspy on the phone. I do not know what's going on with my voice. I don't understand what's going on at all. So okay. So I that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about I mostly just want to talk about like the experience of being offline a little bit. So I talked about Saturday when I was offline, like during the time when I was gonna do it. I don't know if I followed up about it, but in case I didn't follow up about it, because I think I didn't, it was a very good experience. It was very refreshing, very helpful. I was like so in my mind. I guess I was worried that if I would have, you know, gone without, some kind of distractions, like my mind would automatically go to some negative space, which it did a little bit, but not so much that it was like, oh, I'm in full discomfort, and like, why did I do this? It was pretty pleasant most of the time, and I did have an edible in my system, maybe 10 milligrams. I can't remember exactly. It was a lot. And I think that kind of kept my mind kind of more in you know, a less spiraling type of space, but like maybe spiraled in another direction, like towards other stuff. I definitely did feel happy. I felt refreshed. I felt relaxed. There were times that I wanted to go on my phone, but I had turned it off and put it in my desk drawer across the room. I did open it up to go on there and talk to a friend around 11 o'clock after I turned it off. But then I did do podcasting in the morning. I did do like a kind of like a text virtual therapy session in the morning. I did watch during my breakfast. I watched that latest Peter Santinello video. So there were about 3.5 hours or so that I was online without my phone turned off before I had turned it off, which was I maybe turned it off around 10:30, 10 something, and then remembered the friend's birthday and wanted to check on Facebook because her party was Saturday, and I was like, is her birthday Saturday? And I was like, well, while it's on my mind, let me just log on, see when her birthday is. And then wish her happy birthday in advance because I don't want to, I miss birthdays. Yeah. I think she misses my birthday every year, so I'm not really. I missed the day that it was, which was I think Tuesday or Wednesday, but I said it in advance on Saturday. Happy birthday in advance, kind of thing, and was just checking. Is the day of her party her actual birthday, or is her birthday a different day? So I went back offline and just stayed offline till maybe 7:30 p.m. or so. I napped like 3 times. Um, Definitely refreshed a lot of my energy. And then when I did go back online, kind of my interests were maybe shifted a little bit. Now during the week, most of what I was trying to do was maybe watch something after work, while I'm having dinner or something. Get offline by like 6:30 and pretty much stay offline. Like I wasn't really looking like, oh, like at 6:30 at that specific time. But I was like, that's enough time to watch something that's 45 minutes long, be texting my friends, be talking to people online, be online. Now, what were some of the things I went online and saw this week? Mostly I was binge watching, old episodes of Queer as Folk. I went back into that series. It's it's got a lot of sexuality content, LGBT sexuality content, a lot of dopamine involved watching that kind of stuff. But other than that, I wasn't watching that much. I think I went on a dating app. I browsed around on there. I remember one night doing that after work. But otherwise, I wasn't really online. I was just kind of like relaxed in my mind, relaxing, and enjoying my time relaxing every night and taking melatonin around 9 p.m. and then another one at 10 p.m. Knocking out early, and pretty much every day this week I felt pretty refreshed. I had a little bit of focus factor gummies, bulletproof coffee, these women's daily vitamins, a little bit of the C4, the brain energy C4. Yesterday I had some of the pre-workout C4 and got a little bit of exercise. It was just a little bit in the morning before work. I repaired one of my door hinges. I woke up wired yesterday. And today, last night, I was kind of online watching maybe 1 or 2 episodes of that series. I think I watched half of Miss Congeniality, rewatched like half of a podcast that I like, because I like the band. And so I did a lot of stuff yesterday yesterday evening online, and I think it affected me. I don't know for sure, but I woke up a few times. Now I fell asleep not too late. I was listening to music though till like maybe 10:30, 10:45 p.m. Forced myself to stop, put on some ASMR around 10:45. Around 11 I was still watching ASMR, but whatever the last video was that I put on around like 11, I think it was like a 35-minute video, that one knocked me out. So I was asleep before midnight, but I woke up for sure a little bit around like 5:20 a.m. But before that, I woke up maybe 2 other times, kind of tossing, turning, waking up. And I don't know what time it was. I don't know if it was like 5 a.m., if it was 3 a.m. I can't really tell what time it was. Those other times when I did wake up. So, but I felt like I normally was feeling. I just felt kind of like groggy, tired. Woke up too early. Couldn't get back to sleep because I did, start texting friends at like 5:30 in the morning. And then around 6:30, I put on Tanakh Talk and listened to most of Rabbi Tovia Singer's new episode, and I was kind of dozing in and out of sleep, and then got up around like 7:40. I think it was 7:42 a.m. So it wasn't. I didn't wake up with like a burst of energy. I kind of had to get there, and it wasn't easy to get there this morning. So I don't really know. I'm kind of it's kind of new to me this morning, trying to figure out maybe like what it is that is going on. And then also during the week, I tried to. I don't know how I first heard about the Trump thing, but I think did it happen on Sunday or Monday? I think it was because my dad left on Sunday, so maybe it happened on Friday. I really don't remember when this thing happened, but I remember being in the living room or in the kitchen or something, dining area, whatever. It's all close together. Like it's in the kitchen, dining room. It's all within like earshot of the living room TV, and that was on, and I kind of overheard enough to hear what happened. Now that's what bothers me is I don't spend that much time watching or any time watching news. The only time I'm watching news or hearing it at all is literally if somebody's watching it in the living room, I don't go turn it down or turn it off. If somebody's watching it, I'll let them watch it, but sometimes I'll put in my earbuds. But I was like, okay, I'm going to heat up something in the microwave for like 2 minutes. How much can I possibly hear in 2 minutes? I heard enough of the story to kind of know what was going on. That like somebody shot at Trump or whatever, and like they were saying something about he's okay recovering or something, and I'm like, oh shoot. And so I'm not sure how often they say that, but it can't be that every time I walk into, the kitchen space, that whatever story is going on the living room TV, on the news, just happens to be like right then telling the specific information. They have to be saying it over and over and over because I feel like I always catch what's happening, even if I'm just like in passing. And it's like, how how do I avoid that? I mean, usually what I do is I put my earbuds in. If I see the news is on, I'm like, I'll go back to my room, get my earbuds, put something else on, to drown it out, and then just go back in the kitchen and finish what I was doing. But I thought about that, and then in my head, I was like, well, they're watching the news because something's going on. I could tell something was going on. And I could kind of hear my dad, like, a little bit, like, here and there going, like, oh, like, this and that. Like, he was kind of, like, commenting, but I couldn't hear what he was saying, but, like, he was kind of talking to my mom a little bit. She was in the other room, and he was kind of like, oh, like, what, like, oh, like, this is going on, or, like, oh, they said this, or, he was kind of, like, trying to fill her in. And then, yeah, he was trying to, like, fill her in, and she was, like, I don't know, but I could hear him talking, so I was like, something must be happening, because I can hear him telling her, like, oh, like, something. Like, he was commenting to her about something or filling her in. Maybe she went to the restroom. I don't know. But he was saying something to, like, get her attention. And I'm kind of like, okay. So I'm like, first of all, I'm like, oh, what now? Like, and I didn't really want to listen, but I heard that, I overheard it. And so I'm like, great. Now I freaking overheard this stupid thing. And then I've got, friends who watch the news that post stuff on Instagram, or, those people I block so I can't really see their content. Most people post fun stuff, but I do have some friends that post political stuff, and I try not to look at their stuff for that reason. Not because I don't like them, but just because I don't want to know about that. But maybe 2 to 3 times friends or a friend, I don't know how many people, sent me something related to this Trump thing. And then yesterday during work, while I was working, around, let me see what time it was. When did I get the message? I think I got the message. I don't know. We get so many messages in so many groups. I don't remember what time they sent that message out. I think. Oh my goodness. I try to stay on the most recent teams. Scroll down to the bottom so that I don't miss messages. Because I've muted. I mute everybody. Because they're just talking on here. Sometimes they're just like saying stuff that's just too much. I don't know. This is about something else. I don't even know where they sent the message. I don't know where they sent the message. But I saw it yesterday, so I don't really know. I think it was around, it was sometime after like after 2:45 p.m. Maybe around 3:30, 4 o'clock. I get a message that I see on Teams that says like, I know some of you have been having some trouble with your Teams, like Microsoft Teams. IT's looking into it, and then I get a message from IT through email that says, we're aware of the issue with Teams, showing users away when they're not, is being looked at. Oh, maybe they didn't send the message on Teams. It says there seems to be an issue from Microsoft. And it'll be fixed automatically. And then later on, they sent a message that said Microsoft is aware of this and being investigated. We'll keep you posted if the problem persists by Friday morning. And then this morning, like I said, 5:30 a.m., I'm like texting some friends, and I find out, they're on the East Coast. I find out that their stuff isn't working at their job. I'm not sure if it's back up yet, but that's like 8:30 a.m. their time. And I'm like, I wonder what's going on with mine, because when I logged out yesterday, my Teams had a little white circle with a black X through it instead of the little like red dot or green dot or whatever, yellow dot with the little timer in it. And so I'm like, okay. I thought nothing of it though. Last night I thought nothing of it until this morning when I saw my friend, and I did think something weird. I was like, oh, Microsoft, like they're connected with Microsoft. But in my head I was like, oh, how cool that our IT department is able to like talk to Microsoft or like have like a direct, something. Like I just assumed, oh, they have a connection to Microsoft. Like I knew some people who worked in, in tech before that like had direct connections to like Google or something, and, like someone who they could call that was like a direct staff. And so I was like, oh, I wonder if that's what's going on. And that's kind of the most of where my mind went with it. I didn't really think much past that point. So my friend texts me about their computer system being down and everything, that they can't really work. They can't use their software, their work software. And I'm just like, that's weird, and I put on Meet Kevin's, Market Open, and lo and behold, they're talking about CrowdStrike. This guy explaining, how it was some kind of something that they rolled out, and then I don't know if it was like a glitch or something, but they rolled something out that apparently wasn't there was an issue with something that they had rolled out, and then they rolled it back. They said it wasn't a security threat. And then my mind starts thinking, I don't know if these guys are being honest. And right next to it, the way Meet Kevin has he has the tickers up and everything, and it's showing like the stock market open and everything, and you kind of see like that there's been a dip in that company, and they're saying like hospital systems and police systems and all this other kind of stuff is kind of like down because of this. And so I'm not really trying to pay attention to all this. That's not why I'm recording about it. The whole reason I'm recording about it is because I'm trying not to pay attention to it. I'm trying to figure out a solution to kind of shut things out a little bit more. It's just hard. It's hard to do. I'm struggling with it. I feel like most days this week, I feel like I felt good because I shut a lot of things out. Because I stayed offline more, because I kind of was more, like journaling and like talking to friends and like interactive and not really like just, like I said, I did watch a little bit, but from pretty much about 6:30 p.m. and on, I wasn't really online doing too much of anything. Maybe texting friends, but not really too much more than that. I was just kind of like disconnected. I'll scroll Instagram, whatever. But today was the first day, and last night, they were the first times I remember actually scrolling. Like this morning, I was online scrolling on like Instagram. I think I did that last night too. I was scrolling. I can't remember what for, but maybe to look at an ASMR video, or like I was scrolling on YouTube. But almost all week I hadn't been doing that. And then today is the day that I wake up after yesterday feeling great. I was wired yesterday. I was energetic yesterday. I felt good yesterday. And I woke up today and I was like, I woke up a couple times at night. This was the first time I woke up a few times in the night, even though having the same regimen for what I take for sleep. And it's just weird. It's weird. I'm thinking that all that is related, Because it's like, how come the one day that I do something different after just barely changing it for like, let's call it like 6 days, 5 days, 6 days, noticing like my energy definitely improving, and then one day I go back to my normal kind of habits and I notice my energy's back to normal immediately by the next night, and then by that same night and the next day. So I don't really know what that's all about. Instead of doing like a self-care kind of involvement from 6:30 p.m. or so until I go to bed, last night I was just indulging in content, watching content, watching stuff that, I have nothing against LGBT stuff, or else I wouldn't be watching it, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think it's the type of content necessarily. It might be, because like I said, dopamine. So maybe I had like an excessive amount of dopamine last night with all that, instead of the dopamine coming from not the internet. Because I feel like the self-care routine was dopamine related. Like I definitely felt good and pleasant being offline, and what I was doing when I wasn't online. Like I was online a little bit. I wasn't like completely like shut off my phone, put it across the room. It wasn't like that. I don't know, but all right. So let me get into what I need to do for today. But it's just something it's a curious topic to me. And these are some topics I want to touch more on. I'm out of town this weekend. I got some parties tomorrow night, Saturday night to go to. So I'm kind of socially trying to like prepare for that. But I hear my mom's awake now too. So, all right, I'm going to get offline. You guys, I hope you guys like this post. Thanks so much for listening.